Hey gang, I want to show you some easy stretches today. And personally, I love to play paddleball, pickleball. I like to play golf. I like to do a lot of activities. Skiing's now coming out. But when the quads get tight and the hip flexors, it kind of wreaks havoc on your back. So I'm going to show you some really simple things you can do today to help this. And this is just a normal routine I do and pick and choose. There's lots of stretches we can all do. But I just start out on a foam pad, and I'm just going to kind of just slowly, many times you've seen these before, but I'm just going to loosen up my wrist. Again, sometimes when we look at extremities, what do we need to work on? My goal here is to try to keep my arms nice and straight, and I just kind of form a clock with my hands. And then from there, I just kind of put my toes back here, and I curl my toes underneath, so now I'm working on my feet. So then I kind of do the same thing. You could put a foam roller underneath this, but it's real simple. So I'll do that a few times, and then from there, I'm going to get some yoga blocks here, and I'm just going to go into child's pose to kind of loosen up my back. So my knees are apart, my feet are together, and all I do is I just walk these blocks out and just gently try to get my chest closer to the floor and create this good extension of my spine. And I just gently will walk the hands over to the side, and then I sink into the opposite side. That's called the quadratus lumborum. It actually feels really good, stretching out my the lat area and in the hip. And then I do it the other side. So again, just real easy, loosen up. So before you begin a workout, this is easy to do, and it feels great. You could do it at the end of a workout. And then from there, I'm going to get real specific with my hip flexors. And the first thing I'm going to do is just a kneeling hip flexor, and this is just a really simple exercise to do. And if you're having trouble with balance, you can use blocks. But I want to try to make sure my toes curled underneath in the back. Basically, my down leg is nice and straight, but here's the kicker. I try to keep my glute nice and tight. So my down leg, which is my right leg, I'm going to squeeze my right cheek tight, and I'm just going to isometrically try to pull my hips forward. And then from there, I'm just going to lengthen my spine. So I can really feel a stretch right here in my quads and my hip flexors, but I just try to lengthen my spine. And I'll do that for maybe 30 seconds or more, and then I switch sides, and I do the same thing. So again, I'm going to squeeze my glute tight. My chest is nice and tall. Try to drive my navel forward, not my chest, my navel forward, and I lengthen my spine. And again, there's some balance component to this. And then from there, I do this exercise called a camel. And all I do is I take my hand and put it on the back of my heel, and I reach up and lengthen my spine. But as I do this, I'm trying to take my hips forward, and then I switch sides. And I just kind of go back and forth. But now I feel my quads stretching out, my hip flexors. And as I warm up a little bit more, and this gets your spine too, but I'll do both at the same time. So now this is a little more challenging. And I try to lengthen that spine and try my hips forward. All right, so those are real simple. And then from there, I'm going to go into, now that I'm warmed up a little bit, I'm going to put the front foot forward, and you can see that my back leg is nice and straight. So I just sink into this. I can use the blocks as balance, or I can go to the floor. But I'm just sitting here and letting my nervous system kind of adapt. So you're allowing the body to kind of like, okay, and I'm not forcing it. I work on my breath. And I might hold this for 30 seconds or so, or more. And then I switch sides. So again, just real simple. But you can see my knee and ankle are vertical here. My back leg is pretty straight. My chest is nice and tall. And I'm just going to isometrically pull my navel forward. And the last thing I'll show you here, we'll just do one side here just from the sake of time. But now as I warm up, I'm going to add a little bit more to this. So now I'm going to take the back leg a little farther, and now I'm going to really get into my hamstring, and I'm lengthening that. So now my chest is up again, and I just kind of wiggle back and forth. And if you need a break, you can take the blocks up, and you can straighten the legs out, give your hip flexors a little rest, and back down. But this is a great exercise. Now we're working the hamstrings, the quads, the hip flexors, all kind of as one. It creates a lot of mobility, flexibility, and again, takes a lot of pressure off your spine. And the last one here is I have a little, and you could do this off a bench, you could do it off a chair, but this is a little higher. And I still have 3 screws in my right knee from a patella rupture. But now this is a little bit more severe, but I'm going to try to take my butt, again, this is my patella rupture down leg. I try to take my butt almost touching my heel, and now I lengthen my spine, draw my navel forward, and there's a big stretch in my quad here. So again, real simple ways to start to stretch your quads, your hamstrings, your hip flexors. And again, in a short amount of time, makes your back feel better, allows you to move better, and bottom line, feel better. We'll see you next time.